loves, your masks need to be up. Zaya, put it up, please. All right. It says, little rabbit's loose tooth. Raise your hand if you have a wiggly tooth in your mouth. Awesome. Some of you already have lost one. You need to sit up. All right. Put your hands down, my sweets. Little rabbit's loose tooth. Hello, Mitchell. But you're not talking about your loose teeth right now. That's why I just asked you to raise your hand, because I want to read to you. Lots of you have loose teeth. It says little rabbit had a loose tooth. It was her first loose tooth, and it wiggled a lot. At supper time, little rabbit said, you know, I cannot eat carrots and beans. I have a loose tooth. But Father Rabbit said, carrots and beans are very good for little rabbits. They are too hard, said little rabbit, for little rabbits with a loose tooth. Why does it hurt her to eat carrots and beans? Jordan. Come this way. Yeah, when you bite into it, your tooth hurts. Go to your spot, Samir, and have a seat. You got it. Oh, said Mother Rabbit. And what is soft enough for a little rabbit with a loose tooth? Little rabbit thought a while. There were strawberries in the refrigerator. Strawberries, she said. Soft strawberries. Mr. Schaefer, I have 17. 17. You can have strawberries for dessert. And you can choose the carrot. So they're saying just what I tell you to do. If your tooth hurts to chew on that side, chew on the other side where your tooth is not wiggly and sore. And she's like, are you sure it's not going to hurt? Yes, we're sure. That was on Monday. On Tuesday, little rabbit chewed oranges with her loose tooth and cucumbers with her other teeth. On Wednesday, she chewed watermelon with her loose tooth and lettuce with her other teeth. On Thursday, she chewed vanilla pudding with her loose tooth and cabbage with her other teeth. On Friday, and the loose tooth came right out in the chocolate ice cream. Chocolate ice cream is very soft. Her tooth still came out. Do you see it right here? Her chocolate ice cream. That happened to my cousin when we were little. My cousins came over to my house and we were having ice cream that night, and her tooth fell into her ice cream. And you know how ice cream melts and gets like milky? She had to use her spoon to find her tooth in there because she couldn't see it. Not right now, sweetheart. I have a loose tooth in my chocolate ice cream, said little rabbit. Oh, that's wonderful, said Mother. Took the tooth out of chocolate ice cream. I have a window in my mouth, she said. I can stick my tongue through it. Oh, that's amazing, said Mother Rabbit. Put your hands down. Her mouth. Look, she said, Rabbit. Little Rabbit finished her dish of ice cream. Then she licked the chocolate ice cream off of her tooth and took it to the sink. did she have to put the plug in the sink? Bridget. Her toothbrush accidentally drops. She doesn't have the plug in the drain. Her tooth is going to go down the drain, and then she loses her tooth. You're right, sweetheart. Good job. Well, what should I do with my tooth? She asked. Whatever you want, said Mother Rabbit. Well, I could throw it away, said Little Rabbit. Or you could put it under your pillow for the said Mother Rabbit. Well, why should I do that? Asked Little Rabbit. When you are asleep, the Tooth Fairy will take your tooth and leave you a present, said Mother Rabbit. Does the Tooth Fairy get to keep my tooth? Yes, of course, said Mother Rabbit. Yeah, they make a trade. A tooth for a present. When I was little, though, I did not put my tooth under my pillow. I put my tooth, you know the little medicine cups that you drink medicine out of? I put my tooth in the medicine cup and I left it by the window in the kitchen. And the Tooth Fairy would come in the window in the kitchen and the Tooth Fairy would leave me a quarter in the cup and would take my tooth. So in the morning when I woke up and went into the kitchen, the Tooth Fairy had come in the window and left me a quarter. Little Rabbit put her tongue in the window of her mouth. Then she took her tongue out of the window. Well, what if I don't want the Tooth Fairy to keep my tooth? She said. Well, there's no point in putting it back. Then there's no point in putting your tooth under your pillow, said Mother Rabbit. Oh, I don't believe in the Tooth Fairy anyway, said Little Rabbit. No, said Mother Rabbit. No, said Little Rabbit. There are lots of things you can do with a tooth besides give it to a Tooth Fairy. Little Rabbit took her tooth and went into her room and thought about all the things she could do. She thought she could make a hole in it and put a string through it and wear her tooth as a necklace. Would you want to wear your tooth as a necklace? No. But then she thought the tooth might break when she tried to make the hole in the tooth. She could glue it on a piece of paper and draw stars around it and hang it on her bedroom wall. But then she thought that might look silly. She could put it in her pocket and take it to the candy store and try to buy some candy with it. But then she thought that maybe the rabbit who owned the candy store would say that a tooth is not a penny. Yeah, is a tooth the same as money? No. Then Little Rabbit thought she could just throw the tooth away. But she didn't really want to do that either. She should just leave it for the Tooth Fairy. I agree. So she's trying to come up with all these other ideas, but she just doesn't want to throw it away. Let's see what happens. Little Rabbit went into the living room where Mother Rabbit was playing her flute. Mommy, she said, what if I do believe in the Tooth Fairy? Mother Rabbit put down her flute. Then you'd better put your tooth under your pillow before you lose it. You can put it in an envelope if you want. So Mom says, all right, so put it in an envelope. If you want to make sure it's really safe, put your envelope under your pillow. Let's see what happens. Little Rabbit found an envelope. She put the tooth in it. She went into her room, and then she put the envelope under her pillow. Little Rabbit came back to the living room. Well, what kind of presents do Tooth Fairies leave you? She asked. Well, said Mother Rabbit, what do you think? I think they leave you whatever you want, said Little Rabbit. Money? Not a lot of money, said Mother Rabbit. Little Rabbit thought for a minute. A penny? Well, maybe a dime, said Mom. But a dime is smaller than a penny, said Little Rabbit. It's smaller, but it's worth more money, said Mother Rabbit. A dime is worth 10 pennies. Well, I know that, said Little Rabbit. I just wanted to make sure. Just like we talked about that a long time ago when you were all virtual. Someone asked you, do you want a dime or a penny? You pick the dime because it's more money. Daddy, said Little Rabbit, I believe in the Tooth Fairy. Father Rabbit put down his newspaper so Little Rabbit could climb up into his lap. And what do you think the Tooth Fairy wants to do with your tooth? Well, she wants to give me money, said Little Rabbit. Oh, I see, said Father Rabbit. And what will she do with your tooth after she gives you the money? What happens to the teeth that the tooth fairy takes? What do you think, Jordan? Right, but then what does the tooth fairy do? Oops, what does the tooth fairy do with all those teeth? She has all these teeth from me when I was little and from all of you. What does she do with all of those teeth? What do you think, Tamia?
I think to put them in a little container, and she put it in her tooth collection.
Oh, Tamia thinks she puts all the teeth in a little container and keeps them in her tooth collection. Yes, Prince, you may go. Yes, sweetheart. What do you think the tooth fairy does? She what? Oh, let's see, a pile of teeth. Let's see what happens. I think she will save my tooth and give it to a baby rabbit that was just born. And that's how baby rabbits get teeth. Do you think that, Daddy? No. Said Father Rabbit. Or, said Little Rabbit, I think she'll put my tooth up in the sky because it's such a shiny tooth. And that's how stars get made. Do you think that, Daddy?
No.
Well, said Daddy Rabbit. Really, said Little Rabbit, I think she says a magic spell and she turns the tooth into a penny. I mean a dime. Do you think that, Daddy? No. And the daddy keeps going, do you think the tooth fairy puts your old teeth into somebody else's mouth? No. God makes your teeth grow when you're a baby. All right. I think, said Father Rabbit, that it is your bedtime. Okay, but would you please remind Mommy about my believing in the tooth fairy in case she forgets? I could, said Father Rabbit. My tooth is in an envelope under my pillow. That's good, said Father Rabbit. I have a window in my mouth. Window or no window, said Father Rabbit. It is time for bed. He gave her a good night kiss. Good night, Little Rabbit. Good night, Daddy. Thank you, sweetheart. Oops. Little Rabbit gets into her pajamas and brushed her teeth and turned the light off and got into bed. Mother Rabbit came in to kiss her goodnight. Mommy, said Little Rabbit, say ya. Yes, said Mother Rabbit. Just in case there isn't a tooth fairy, said Little Rabbit. Yes, said Mama. After I'm asleep, could you sneak and look under my pillow and look in the envelope? And if there isn't a present, could you just leave me one? Yes, said Mother Rabbit. You don't have to tell me, said Little Rabbit. You could just be sneaky. All right, said Mother Rabbit. Now, good night, Little Rabbit. Good night, Mommy, said the Little Rabbit, and she went to sleep. So the Little Rabbit's making sure, okay, if there is no tooth fairy, Mommy, could you just leave me a present? And Mommy says, yes, of course. The stars came out, and the moon rose up in the east, and then the moon set in the west, and the stars went in, and the sun came up. It was morning. Little Rabbit woke up. She looked under her pillow. She took out the envelope. She opened it, and inside the envelope was a dime. So the tooth fairy left her a dime. My sweets, did you enjoy this story? Lots of you have wiggly teeth and are losing teeth, so I wanted to read it. Mitchell, we will see you soon for math, my sweet, okay? Have a good lunch. All right, my loves, let's fold our hands to pray.